Good morning and welcome to StudyIQ, my dear friends. I am Prashant Pavani. Today is 12th December. I'm sure you all are doing good. The first wealth is health. This is the quote of the day. It is a perfect match for the day. What is special about today? The special thing about today is that today is Universal Health Coverage Day that is celebrated on 12th of December every year by World Health Organization. Now, let's recall those days. Let's remember our situation when we, once or twice a year when we are, under this influence of flu or cold and cough and other things, when we are basically ill. At that point of time, we are not at our peak. We feel very bad. Our mood is not right. And at that point of time, if I give you all the luxuries, all the comfort and everything, right, then as well you will not feel good. You will not feel that right because you are not in a healthy phase. So, we can get this meaning from this small trailer of this small phase of flu and small phase of headache or something like that. That if we lose health, then we lose everything. We lose everything, isn't it? And here today we are going to talk about so many interesting things associated with universal health coverage, because we have one article written by Ambassador of Japan to India, and he is talking about providing health for all. And there are so many interesting things that we are going to discuss about this item. But before that, I would like to add on a few things. Before we move ahead, I would like to ask some questions. I would like to present some questions in front of you. Like what do you need to get, be and stay healthy, right? This is a very important question that we need to ask ourselves. Many of you would say that we need good hospitals. Some of you would say good food. Some of you would say good gyms and good open parks, fresh air, fresh water. So there are so many things. And if you analyze, if you think about all these things, right, you will realize that there are a few things that we can create. There are a few things that situations will create. There are a few things that we have to create so that we can create a sort of environment as well as a situation where everyone or most of us can stay healthy. Then there are a few other things and there are a few other questions like can you get help from well-trained health workers? The main word here is well trained. The second question is, can you get treatment that helps you get better, and is this treatment safe enough? Third, can you get the medicines and other health products you need? Third question, very important question. Fourth one, again a very basic, very important question: who is going to pay for treatment? If you have to go through any treatment or medicines or any other things, then who is going to pay for it? Is it you? Or is it your out of pocket expense we are talking about? Or is it government of your country or your state that is going to look after your health? And this question is important for a country like India and for other developing countries, because we know the scenario of developed countries, right? They have good healthcare facilities. Most of the developed countries, they look after their citizens. They have enough wealth, they have enough money. But we have a good example as well. It's not always that when you have money, then only you can look after your people. Many times you can generate wealth, you can generate prosperity, productivity when you start looking after your people, even if you don't have that much money. If you create some sort of programs that can be best, at that point of time or a given point of time, if you come out with some best strategy, then yes, you can create a situation where people will become a bit more productive, and finally you will see this thing in your GDP as well. So who will pay for it is important for India. And one more thing that I would like to add here is that every year 6 crore people in our country, right, they have to sell their assets or gold or whatever they have, whatever possession they have, right? Many a times they have to sell their house as well because they don't have anything, right, apart from their house. They don't have any other source through which they can pay their bills, their medical bills to be precise, either their bills or their loved ones' bills. And are there policies in place to make quality services available to everyone and every time? And does your government have the information it needs to make the right decisions about the whole system? So let's say data analytics, something that is today, something that is more advanced. I'm sure we are aware about data analytics, like you feed data in it and it will give you some more results, and it will give you some more actionable results, and it will provide you opinions and things like that. So are we using all these things, or do we have any one of them, or do we have one or more than these things available in our state or in our country? Very important question that we have to ask. And interesting thing about today's the Hindu newspaper is that this is the first one, this is the second one. As you can see here, it's about RBI. Apart from that, all other articles are political. When I say political, let me be a bit more specific here. See, polity is part of your education. It is part of your syllabus. So that does not mean that every time when you find a political article, you need to skip them or you don't have to go through them. You guys have to go through them just once, right? It will not take more than 15 to 20 minutes max, right? So just have a quick glance over it. The reason I'm not taking these articles on board is that they will give you that, I would say, that extra layer, or that grooming that you need, for your overall decoration. But it's not that directly important for your examination. So you should be aware about what's going on in which part of the country. Just a rough idea should be there when it comes to politics. But of course, when it comes to governance, when it comes to constitution, then you should have a good understanding. But when it comes to this sort of politics, like Telangana Chief Minister, what he did and what he is doing, all these things, as general awareness is okay, but you don't have to follow all of them, right? What Rahul Gandhi is doing, what Modi ji is doing, etc. So flat 50% off last date today, 12th December. Make the most out of it. Visit StudyIQ.com to find out more about it. Now, 12th December marks Universal Health Coverage Day, and I have a definition by WHO of this day, this Universal Health Coverage. So, ensuring that everyone, everywhere, can access essential quality healthcare or quality services, right? It's very important that just having access is not enough. It should have that touch of quality. And as you know, one of the most basic thing is that without financial hardship. Now, Japan is a country. Japan is a beautiful country. They have their own unique way of doing things. They are, I would say, Sama Yogi, or they are basically disciple of time. They know, means if you learn about Japan, their culture, then you'll find that they give too much of importance to time, and I think that's a right thing as well, because they will go through something, and they will, if they know that they have to do something, then they will do it. That's the spirit of Japan. And some 50 years ago, somewhere in 1961, Japan created this national health insurance coverage. And at present, if you look at Japan, then Japan is promoting this UHC around the world at various different platforms, because Japan is well aware about the strength of UHC, that is Universal Health Coverage. Now, in our country, we have also launched Ayushman Bharat, or Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. And as I told you, that Japan started working on this Universal Health Coverage in 1961. And if you are aware about history of the world, or global history or world history, then you have to be aware about this World War One, that came to a very bad conclusion in 1945. Japan was bombarded with nuclear weapons, and Japan is the only country that has gone through this, wrath of nuclear weapons. So, and you can imagine, war is not something that will generate wealth for you. It is a big expense that you are doing. So Japan was nearly broke, right? It was not having that much money, and so many talented people were not there, and it was in a bad shape, if I can put it in a nutshell. It was not having that advantage back in 1940s and 50s and 60s. So in 60s as well, when Japan introduced this health insurance coverage, it was not that it was economically very rich. It was not even at that point of time. We can safely say that it was not standing on its feet. And this, I will give you one more small example. I don't know how many of you are aware about this thing, but there is a very famous song of Raj Kapoor, and in that song he says that "Mera juta hai Japani." That means my shoe is from Japan. And if you observe his feet, then you will find that that shoe is broken. So at that point of time, Japan was famous for bad quality. Right, today Japan is known as, when I say Japan, the first thing that will strike is technology, quality, all these things. At that point of time in 60s, Japan was infamous for poor quality of products. But now things have changed, of course. So when Japan introduced this thing, it was more about their commitment, it was more about their vision. And today they are, these fruits are there. Means this universal health coverage has delivered its fruits in Japan. And if we go through the case study of Japan, then we find that early and vast national investment, then comprehensive government effort, and this team working, or this it was this various different ministries like health ministry, finance ministry, education ministry. They were working as a team. So all these things, it's were promoted in Japan. And universal health coverage has also helped in social equity. If you observe our life, then we find that those people who have why everyone is in this race to become rich, because when you are rich, right, a country like India, that government is, just now government came out with this insurance scheme, this Ayushman Bharat, but before that you are on your own, isn't it? So when you are rich, when you have that money, you can buy insurance, you can get treatment done anywhere you like in any part of the world if you have that money. So it gives you that sense of security, and all these things will add to your social status and social well-being. So UHC has ensured social equity in Japan, because you know how it works in Japan. A friend of mine who is a doctor, he he has visited Japan many a times, and he shared this experience of Japan's health services with me. He said that in Japan, if you have, say for example, an area where you have 100 families or 100 people, say for example we have 100 people living in this area, so you have this government doctor, and most of the doctors in Japan are government doctors. So this doctor, this MBBS, or maybe an equivalent doctor who is responsible to look after this area, his salary, let's say hypothetical salary is 1 lakh rupees per month. So this person will get 1 lakh rupee only if all 100, right, in that particular month are healthy. If 1 or 2 are ill, if someone has got flu and cold and things like that, then you will see a sort of reduction in this 1 lakh, maybe 99,000, maybe 98,000. There is a chart and the way things are. So what do we understand from this thing? What happens there is that your doctor will visit you if there is a change in season. If there is a flu out there, then doctor will visit you. He or she will ask you what to eat, what not to eat, what are the things that you need to avoid. If you are overweight, then what are different items or food items that you need to avoid. If you are, so it's more like doctors are coming to you. It's more about preventive side rather than curative side. Here we have this curative side. When we are healthy, we are doing nothing. When we are ill, then we knock the doors of clinics and hospitals. So look at their positive approach, right? And when you do this thing, when you are on preventive side, you are adding productivity in your people. And when you add productivity, your GDP, your everything, will go up. So today, even in the remotest of the places in Japan, you don't have to worry about healthcare. Now, Japan and India, two best buddies, they have worked together to eradicate polio in India, and Japan has established some research centers and some hospitals, like a diarrhea research center in Kolkata. Then you have this hospital in Chennai. In 17 cities of Tamil Nadu, urban healthcare is getting stronger with this support from Japan. And last time when our Prime Minister was in Japan in October 2018, both these nations have signed MOC, that is Memorandum of Cooperation on Healthcare. and it's basically about Japan's Asia Health and Wellbeing Initiative is going to cooperate with Ayushman Bharat. So we are going to learn so many things from Japan, and Japan is a very unique culture as well as a very unique country, because it's not that if they have this upper hand, they are being bossy or they are showing it off. They are as well ready to learn from us. They are ready to explore what Ayurveda is all about. So here you can see that positive attitude of Japan, and of course both nations are good friends and both are ready to share and care for share with each other and care for each other. So that's everything in today's this article. I'm sure so many things are clear to you now. Now we are going to talk about the second topic, and it is about this RBI, and to be more specific, it is about Urjit Patel's sudden resignation. Now, one quality that this article is talking about is that a central banker should have this quality of surprise element, so that his or her action should be like a surprise for the market, so that markets can be kept guessing and things like that. I hope these things are easy to understand. Now, there was a rumor that Urjit Patel is going to resign, but he attended this monetary policy committee and board for financial supervision. He attended this thing as well. So a few weeks ago, when this thing was there, or these rumors were there that he is going to resign, a month ago or something, so it died because he attended this MPC as well as Board of Financial Supervision. Now, what MPC is all about, we are going to talk about it, but let me throw some light on this prompt and corrective action. So this Board for Financial Supervision discusses this issue of prompt corrective action on some banks, and PCA, that is prompt corrective action, is prompt, sudden, or you can say fast, and corrective, like if there is something going wrong. Like, let's say you are a bank called XYZ and you have lended money to various different parties. Now NPAs are going up, so when RBI will find out that NPA is going up, then it will take over. This prompt and corrective action will kick in, so that you cannot, if you are planning to lend some more money, then you have to have a double check from RBI, and it will give you a plan how you can recover this NPA and things like that. So that's what PCA is all about. Now, the core issue of Urjit Patel's resignation, or the things that are going on at present, is about this thing that autonomy, independence of RBI's management, or a governor of RBI, right? His or her autonomy and independence. And it's not just about an individual, it's not just about Urjit Patel that we are talking about, it's about institution. It is bigger than that, right? This battle is between government and central bank, and it's not between finance minister or prime minister versus Urjit Patel, or Arun Jaitley versus Urjit Patel. It's not like that. It's a professional thing, right? And it's an institutional, I would say, turbulence in institutional balance, something that we have talked about yesterday in detail. If you are new, if today is your first day with this Hindu analysis, then I will reckon you guys to go through 11th December, that is yesterday's The Hindu Analysis. It is available both in Hindi and English, so that you know exactly what we are talking about here, because we have just talked about few things yesterday. Now, one thing that you will observe in yesterday's discussion is that it was tilted, or a shade that we find, a theme that we find, is that RBI and governor of RBI are were projected as victims, or I would say that there are a few things, right? There are a few things, means yesterday's discussion was fruitful as well, and we do find that there is a little bit of you have less room when it comes to autonomy at present. But we have to keep this thing in mind as well, that government holds the ultimate authority in our country. This is the most important thing that we have to keep in our mind, because if your economy will do well, then the credit will go to government. But if your economy will do bad, right, if it's not performing, then as well the final blame will be on government, and it won't be on RBI. And elected body, elected government will have, of course, the ultimate authority is in the hand of government. So RBI, if RBI is saying that it should be completely independent, then that's not going to happen, right, ever. And the reason is that it's not that RBI is like a caged parrot. When RBI was going through, when this point of friction was there in the past as well, when things were a bit turbulent, what used to happen earlier on is that just the governor used to make a decision about interest rate going up or down. So when governor was making, when he or she was the single person making this decision at that point of time, it was too much pressure on governor, and the government used to put some pressure in it, because government is interested in economic well-being of, or economic growth, as well as development of our country or economy. So government used to put some pressure on it, then industry used to put pressure on governor. So it was one man surrounded by so many various different, many times opposite demands. So government decided that there should be something else, and government formed a committee called Urjit Patel Committee. At that point of time, Urjit Patel was, if I'm not wrong, he was deputy governor of RBI. So this Urjit Patel Committee came out with this recommendation that there should be monetary policy committee. We should have 6 members in it, 3 members from RBI and 3 members from government, or 3 members can be appointed by government, and then the 6 members together, they will take decision, rather than earlier practice where governor used to take a decision. Here you have 6 more brains, right, will work on this thing, whether interest rate should go up or it should come down. And after that, since nearly 2 years, we are going through this monetary policy, or a bit more than, nearly 2 years. So this RBI Act was amended, and the 6 members are taking now bit more. Let me throw some more light. Now, this monetary policy committee, you have 3 members from government and 3 members from RBI. So that does not mean that government members are throwing their weight. What happens is, if there is a tie, if 3 members, decisions are taken by consensus. So in case if there is a tie, then RBI governor's decision will be taken as final decision. So if 3 members are saying that yes, we need to increase interest rate or repo rate, and if 3 members are saying no, then whatever the final decision of RBI governor is will be taken as final, will be that will be the final decision. So we can clearly see here that government has provided a bit of, you can say, autonomy as well when it comes to monetary policy committee. And there are a few complaints or grievances from government side as well. Government is not happy about this liquidity issue that is going on with the NBFCs, non-banking finance companies. Then when it comes to capital norms, particularly for banks, government has asked RBI to provide a sort of bit more soft approach, rather than making it a bit more stringent. And clearly we can see bad loan environment. Government is worried about this thing, because see, this Punjab National Bank case, as well as this IL&FS case, right, or both of these items, or both of these parties, or this one bank and one you can say company, they should they are supposed to be inspected by RBI, and whatever issue that we have found, RBI was the main body or the main party that was responsible for periodic or regular inspection. But these things are missing, and this is one of the main reason why we find this to PNB and IL&FS in this situation. So naturally, the government is not going to be happy with this thing. So it's not that all the time government is doing something wrong. There are a few things, that we need to repair in RBI, and there are a few things that we need to repair in government, and then we can have something. And it's not about who will win eventually. It's about our economy. So it's a battle in which both parties are going to win if they sit down and if they find a proper solution. Now at present we have new, you can say, successor or new governor of RBI. His name is Shaktikant Das. And by the way, that's everything as far as articles are concerned. So let's go through latest news items, and let me briefly introduce all of you to Shaktikant Das. He's the new RBI governor. He's a very experienced bureaucrat. He has worked as Secretary, Department of Economics. He has worked at various places like G20. He plays a role of Sherpa. He guides India in G20 meetings. 1980 batch IAS officer from Tamil Nadu cadre. So it's a very experienced person. But the challenge that he will face is that if he takes any sorts of decision that are in favor of government, then he will be termed as a caged parrot, or will be termed as, or will be watched as a puppet, isn't it? Now we have these results. That's everything about RBI. Now let's move on to some other items. So 5 states results are out. Help yourself with it, right? You can download the PDF, and of course I'm sure you are going to go through the newspapers as well. So the results are out now. 3 important items coming from Supreme Court. The first one is on your screen. Don't reveal identity of rape victims. Why? Because social stigma, then ostracization. Then many times a victim is been bullied by people, and socially as well, that victim will feel ostracization, like marriage problems and other issues. This is you can say a very important, and it was said earlier on as well, but now again the Supreme Court has said that don't reveal identity of rape victims. Second thing that we can add on here is that government has, Supreme Court has said that government can go ahead with SOP to deal with publication and proliferation of this sexually abusive online content like child pornography, rape and gang rape videos, and objectionable material through social media intermediaries like Google, YouTube, Facebook, Microsoft, WhatsApp. And Supreme Court has directed Center to declare 10-kilometer area around national parks as eco-sensitive. Now, my dear friends, I want you guys to go through all these 9 points, right? And you will find so many names here as well. I do understand that you will not remember all the names, or you cannot by heart all the names in one reading. You have to revise this thing many a times, and the good way of revising is take out a map of, say for example, the first one is Pobitora Sanctuary in Assam. So take out map of India, locate Assam, then go through various different states that are nearby Assam, then go through physical map of India, then locate Assam, see if you can find rivers or any other items, then go through this specific map of Assam in your Atlas book, go through the political one, then physical one, then go through this thematic map. A thematic map, you have this map of India where you find various different sanctuaries, wildlife, sanctuaries, then national parks, and then you have this biosphere reserves. So go through that map, and then go through this Assam's thematic map. And I'm sure nowadays Atlas, you have all these things in your Atlas, right? So you have to go through this thing in this way, and one by one go through all various different states that you can see here, and go through all the names here. Familiarize yourself with these names, because you can find, and you do find, this type of questions in your they will ask you this match the following type of question, like you will be given state, and then you will be given the name of the sanctuary, and then you have to identify the right pair. Russia sends 2 white swans. They are this Tu-160 supersonic bombers in Venezuela. So America is not happy about this thing. Ex-Canadian envoy has been detained in China. So this is a sort of tit for tat for the CFO of UV. Surjit Bhalla resigns from EACPM. So EAC stands for Economic Advisory Council of to the Prime Minister, and Bibek Debroy is the main person, the head, and you have 6 members, and he has resigned, citing that he is going to join some other organization. Water traces found on asteroid Bennu and OSIRIS-REX spacecraft of NASA has found hydrogen and oxygen. And this Bennu is, the size of this Bennu is somewhere around like a big building. It's not that huge. It's like a big building, but it's a very good, you can say, finding. These are your vocabs. Jordan is not a landlocked country, as you can see here. It is sharing its small border with Gulf of Kaaba. And can you give me the name of this country here, and do let me know why it is in news. This is your answer. This is your new question. Match the following type of question. So it's a perfect match for the things that we have just discussed, and you can download the PDF of today's lecture from my IB page and Twitter handle. Thank you very much. God bless you all. Jai Hind.